All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing this word in sincerity and truth on the four corners of the earth. All right, and I ran into this article on RT News, of course. It says, sooner rather than later, U.S. seeks to deploy mid-range missiles to Asia as it ditches INF treaty. All right, which shows the point that I'm trying to make is Esau is a covenant breaker. All right, when you have a treaty, which is an act of peace, peace being written, between two nations, all right, two enemies, all right, it shouldn't have no like time limit on it. It shouldn't be like a contract. You know how a contract has, let's say a basketball contract. You sign for 3 years, and then after that 3 years, the contract is up. All right. That's why the scriptures say the way of peace they know not. All right. So even when Esau, you see him sign treaties and everything like that, it's always funny because eventually once his agenda changes or once, said party isn't doing what he wants them to do anymore, he's going to break the treaty. All right. And of course, in the times we living in, a treaty as the INF treaty, all right, which is kind of like a friendly like ceasefire, as far as the missiles. I think it puts a cap on the amount of nuclear weapons that you can produce. All right, now that has been broke, the only reason that it would be broken is why? So they can make more missiles to start this World War III, man. All right, it's the modern day arms race. All right, everybody is gathering missiles, man. All right, but it says U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper endorsed the idea of deploying medium-range missiles to the Indo-Pacific region, just as Washington formally left the landmark INF treaty with Moscow. Excuse me. It says, yeah, this is a quote from the dude, Esper. Yeah, I would like to. Esper told reporters during his trip to Australia when asked whether he was considering deploying conventional mid-range missiles to Asia Pacific. It says the Pentagon chief said the U.S. would deploy a capability sooner rather than later, but declined to provide a detailed timeline. I would prefer months, but these things tend to take longer than you expect. It says Esper made his comments after the U.S. formally withdrew from the landmark Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which is the INF treaty, with Russia on Friday. Signed in 1987 during the Cold War, the agreement banned all land-based missiles with a range of 500 kilometers and 5,500 kilometers and their launchers. All right, so the treaty was to basically, stop the production or the use of these missiles that could travel a certain distance. All right, 500 kilometers. 5,500 kilometers, right? So in the age of that we're living in now, where the intercontinental ballistic missile is in play, of course, people want to have more range on their missiles, man. All right, so there would be no reason for America to, break away from this treaty with Russia if they weren't planning to shoot long-range missiles, man. All right, which is a clear indicator that World War III is about to start. So you got all this stuff happening in the news, but nobody's really paying attention to it. Nobody knows, man. All right, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and the men on down who report these things. And you have other outlets that, keep their eyes on world news, as like Dabu 7, for example, but it's only a few people who are actually in tune with what is going on on a worldly scale, man. All right, all these people are just living their everyday lives, man. But little do they know, these treaties are being broken. All these sanctions are being put on people by Donald Trump. The nations are about to go to war. All right. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, who you people call God and Jesus Christ, is putting a spirit on these leaders to have tension amongst each other, which we know tension leads to war. You know, even on a small scale, you got tension with somebody, it usually leads like to a fight, a fist fight or something like that. But they playing with big guns, big missiles, tanks, jets, you know what I mean, rocket launchers, all this shit. That's the war that they about to go to. And America will ultimately be destroyed in this war, whether you believe it or not. All right. It says, in recent years, Washington and Moscow have been accusing each other of secretly violating the treaty. See, there it go. That's the tension, right? Now, us knowing the nature of Esau, all right, we people call it so-called white man, he probably made that shit up, you know what I'm saying? Because you know America has a long history of treaty breaking, truce breaking, covenant breaking, right? They have a long history of that. So what the U.S. will do, well, they'll accuse Moscow of doing it, even though they know they doing it, just to keep the heat off them, man. All right, a treaty with America or any the so-called white man, it doesn't mean anything, man. They're gonna find a way to finagle their way out of it, man. All right, now. Shalaki, my phone slow as hell. It's a rock 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right. Never trust thine enemy. Now this is really to the Israelites trusting the other nations, man, chiefly Esau. But even amongst the nations, you can't be trusted, man. You can't trust Esau. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, man. All right. Anybody seen like a rusted pipe? You can go buy the stuff from whatever store. All right, rust away or whatever. All right, but the rust always come back. All right, it always comes back to what? The surface. So even if Esau is seeming trustworthy, his evil and his wickedness is always going to come back to the surface in any situation. All right. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. All right, the wickedness of Esau will never go away. All right, there's many examples. You know, it just shows that the rest of the heathens are stupid as well. Jake too, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, but they keep signing treaties with this dude and doing business with him, and in the end, he always screw you. But it's getting to the point where now these people are sick of Esau and doing business with him. All right, they're sick of the American dollar. They sick of the sanctions. They sick of everything he's doing because things always start off well. All right, because look at, like it says, though he humble himself and go crouching, things always start off well. He presents himself as a trustworthy guy, but at the end of the day, he gonna bite you in the ass, man. All right. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. That's what Esau do. He overthrow you and stand up in your place. All right. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. That's Esau. That's all Esau do is get close to you to destroy you. All right, chiefly the Israelites, but even the other nations. He get close to you, may learn your ways, learn your movements. You know what I mean? Then he attacks you, man. All right, he don't just. What I'm trying to say is, when Esau is getting close to you, just know it's a I'm trying to say a hidden agenda that he has in every situation. It's always some type of hidden agenda that he has to destroy you and further himself or for his prosperity, you know. I'm gonna skip down to 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. Nobody do that better than Esau. He's a kind man. All right, Esau in so many ways, I speak sweetly with his lips, man. All right, just like the RFID microchip, man. I see earlier this week or like late last week, Elon Musk is pushing it, but he's making it seem as though it's needed. Like, oh, it'll help you with your motor skills. It'll help you with this. It'll help you with that. That's him speaking sweetly with his lips, all right? But in his heart, he imagined how to throw thee into the pit, how to stab you in the back, man. You know, his words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. I'm sure when they sat down and signed that treaty, like, yeah, this is a good idea. You know, getting back to that article, yeah, this is a good idea. You know, it'll bring peace, you know, be a little bit safer. But he knew he was going to try to get out of that treaty sooner or later. To what? To throw whoever his adversary is in a pit. All right? He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Esau is a perpetual murderer, man. All right? There is no other way for him to function, because that's how the Most High made him. All right, so getting back to the article, it says in recent years, Washington and Moscow have been accusing each other secretly of violating the treaty. The U.S. initially suspended its obligations to the agreement in February. Russia responded by doing the same several months later. They're gearing up for war. Because Russia like, shit, if y'all about to do it, we about to do it. We not about to be basically like a sitting duck while y'all can, you know, shoot these missiles at a certain range. All right. Says Mark Esper, who was confirmed by President Donald Trump as defense secretary last week, said that Washington will now fully pursue the development of new types of ground-based missiles now that the country has left the INF treaty. Of course, he stressed earlier that the U.S. needs to build new military bases and boost resilient force posture in the Indo-Pacific region to counter China. It says, excuse me, Beijing, which has repeatedly condemned Washington's military posturing in the region, blasted the U.S. for withdrawing from the INF treaty. American plans to resume development and deployment of mid-range missiles will severely undermine global strategic balance and stability and threaten peace and security, in Asia-Pacific Foreign Minister spokesperson. I'm not even going to try to read that name. That's the dude's name, though. That's what he said, right? So basically what he's saying, America plans to resume the development will severely undermine global strategic balance and stability. Meaning America is going to make the nations angry, right? All right, this is all the scriptures playing out in the world, man. Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. All right, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. All right, meaning, hey, ain't gonna be no more peace amongst the nations. All these you see these treaties is being broke. You know, the nations is doing what they want to do because everybody is jockeying for position in this imminent World War III. All right, that's coming, man. All right. So I just wanted to make that quick video. I hope it was edifying. With that, I'm gonna say shalom.